From the studios of Foxborough Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Hello and welcome to Around Foxborough, the show where we learn about the people, places, and things that make Foxborough the gem of Norfolk County. My name is Mark Rivard, and I have a special guest tonight, one of my good friends. You may know her from Storytime with Sadie, but I have Sadie Harbor-Nero. Hi, Sadie.
Hey, Mark. Hello, everybody. It's
Well,
good to be here.
It's great to have you as always. Topic tonight is a little bit scary for people at home. You probably heard about the explosion in Beirut on August 4th. A lot of people killed, thousands wounded, a lot of people homeless. And, Sadie is originally from Lebanon and she still has family there. So we wanted to give her a chance to tell us some stories because, we see things on the news, but you don't really know what happens until you hear it directly from people who are there. So we're happy to have Sadie on to tell us a little bit what's going on.
So I wished we had this under different circumstances, but here we are, almost 2 weeks later. Well, tomorrow will be 2 weeks. And so as you said, on August 4th, there was an explosion at the port in the heart of Beirut. So Beirut is the capital of Lebanon. It's like the hub of all tourism. And it's one of the most beautiful cities you can ever see in your life. And it has endured so much and still stood, rise, the people, nothing changed. They take the hits and they keep going. But this one was hard to digest, Mark. It was really hard to digest because it wasn't a foreign attack. It was negligence. It was literally domestic terrorism by the government itself towards its own people. The port had stored 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate between people at the port. They stored it since, I believe, 2016 or so. And now we're not going to get into the politics of it or name names or militia, but whoever knows anything about Lebanon or really the Middle East in general and those troubled areas would know that there's militia that take over. And in Lebanon, it is one of the scariest militia known to mankind, and they have their hand on the port and a lot of seats in the parliament too. So they can really do whatever the hell they want. So they had these ammonium nitrate stored in their area in the south, but they thought of it too dangerous. Now there's 7,000 tons of that material, chemical, inflammable, dangerous, explosive. They took it and they put 2,700 of it at the port. Now the question is, where's the rest? We don't know. They're not talking. They laugh. They think it's a joke. Their officer in general, whatever he calls himself, he's like, well, you can't prove anything. And he's right, because the internal investigation is so corrupt. They all help each other out. No one will ever be held responsible for everything that happened over there. So 2,700 went up in flames in the heart of Beirut. Where's the rest? It could be right in front of our parents' house. It could be in front of a school, a park, anywhere. Lebanon is very congested. The coast is congested, Millions and millions of people living in an area that is as big as Rhode Island. This is the whole country. 10,452 kilometers square.
Wow.
It's tiny.
I mean, that's like putting a warehouse full of chemicals right in the middle of downtown Boston.
Yeah.
It's what's it going to do? And why would anybody do that? I mean, even the U.S. government, with their nuclear missiles and everything, are all out in desert locations, as far as we know. I mean, we don't know, but that's what we're told.
But at least you can think that, well, it's not on the street. You don't know. Now, the explosion happened. So try to imagine it geographically, right? It's on the coast, on the Mediterranean. And right behind where it exploded, there are huge silos. They shielded a lot of the city. Those silos have the national reserve of wheat and food. There's no bread in Lebanon right now. The reserve, it's all up and gone. Now, the way scientists and marine experts are saying that it happened, that the current of the sea was going, it's pulling. It absorbed a lot of the shock wave. So it could have gone so much worse. Like my dad was telling me, if it wasn't for the sea, it would have reached all the way up north.
Wow.
So that, I mean, you're talking cities.
Yeah, and you have, and I mean, you're talking about your dad and your cousin. I mean, you mentioned something about your cousin too. So you have family out there, and I'm sure you've heard some stories about what's going on there as far as recovery and things like that, because, people are homeless. It destroyed
Over
blocks.
300,000 people.
Yeah,
and
no food, you're saying, because a lot of the food was destroyed.
Well, yeah. Now you have to remember, Mark, that those 300,000 people that are homeless, those are the ones who have homes. We're not talking about the Syrian refugees that were already on the street. We're not talking about the Palestinian poor refugees that were already on the street. Now there are thousands of house workers. I call it modern day slavery in Lebanon. These women come from Ethiopia, Sri Lanka, India, poor countries, Philippines. They come to work as domestics. Okay, those are not treated well. They don't get a day off and they don't have benefits. And if they're lucky, they have a place to sleep. Now, thousands of them are laying on the floors waiting to talk to their loved ones who heard of the explosion but have no way to reach their families. Their embassies are not really that advanced either. And you think the Lebanese is gonna worry about the Ethiopian workers who are not even second-grade citizens? They're just sitting there waiting for something to happen. Either they go home or nothing. So they're just sitting there. So the explosion happened. Yeah, I have my cousins, both of them guys who worked across, and everybody saw the flames going up first. And those were the first responders who actually died in the explosion because it started as a fire and little tiny explosions. They had no idea what was stored there. You think officials told them don't go near? They went in there and the doors were locked. There are pictures. It took them forever to even try to pry the locks open, and they failed. One of the firefighters is a girl, and she was one of the first women to ever become firefighters in Lebanon, by the way. She was with her fiance, FaceTiming him, asking her, "What are you doing? With the smoke." And the last words he was telling her was, "Run." And then nothing.
It's unbelievable.
So it happened, and my cousins were, thank God they weren't killed, but they were blown up, like inside the buildings from the shockwave. He hurt his head and his brother hurt his back. A friend of mine, I put his video on Facebook, and I know it was graphic, and he was apologizing for posting it. And I was like, you don't get to apologize. It's graphic, so what?
People need to see it. People need to know what's going on.
If they don't have the heart to see it because their lives are so perfect, they don't want to see anything ugly. Oh my goodness, I can't deal. Then walk away. I posted it just as it is. You can see him. You can see his reflection when when everything exploded in his face. Now he's recovering and he's doing well. He's a fighter. But his birthday was a couple days ago. But from what my cousin told me, when everything settled, everybody thought it was just another attack, like an Israeli attack again, like it happened in 2006, where they went airstrike and surrounded the coast with battleships, and they just started going bomb after bomb on every bridge and infrastructure. My brother that day made it by seconds on that bridge. He saw the explosion behind him. But we're not going to go back into 2006. But this is what people thought. They said, that's it. We're at it again. But even my parents, no one, my mom thought it was like something that like civil war started back in Beirut again, or some aunts were like thinking it was just an earthquake, which doesn't really happen because we don't have volcanoes anywhere near or anything, It took them a while for the news to start traveling, to understand what was going on. So when my cousin went down on the street, what is happening, what's going on, and he sees people on the floor, blood dripping everywhere, bodies, and no one understood what was going on. So automatically they go to the hospitals. Well, the hospitals were blown up too from the shockwave. All the nearby hospitals, the American hospital, everything. So now, okay, find another hospital. The electricity was gone. I have footage of doctors stitching people with no anesthesia on the floor with sheets, people taking off their jackets, laying it on the floor for doctors to stitch them up using their cell phone light.
I mean, you've been through so much. I mean, personally, you told your story to everybody about, growing up, living underground during a civil war. And then you talk about 2006, the first was in 89, now 2006, and then this, which isn't a war, but how do you tell that to people who've been through so much that it's not, because it feels like it, because you're going through it, even though it's an explosion, we don't know exactly what happened. It still feels like you're going through a war again.
There's so many theories coming out right now. Everybody wants to point finger at everybody. The matter of the fact is the government knew. No one cares where is it coming from, and you knew. The official who told them 2 months earlier, he was found dead because he dared challenge authority. He's found dead, okay? There are paperwork that's showing up right now because right after this happened, people are still burying their dead to this day. And the people took the revolution to the revolution again. Like you and I, when we met and we talked about it around Foxborough in October, was it?
Around that time, yeah.
Yeah, because October or early November or something, we were talking about, overthrowing a corrupt government that's had its claws in Lebanon for 35 years now? Wow. And now COVID happened, everybody went home, and now there are millions of people on the street. But you know what? It's becoming the Joker mentality. You've seen the Joker. It's like where society made you the bad guy. They have nothing to lose anymore. So it became like that. They took over buildings, official, like ministries. The people took the building. Their files there, it's ridiculous. They are begging for all these first world countries to freeze the assets. His name was Marwan Khairuddin, I believe. He 2 days after the explosion bought Jennifer Lawrence's house in New York for $15 million. Where'd you get that money from, bro? Now, a few years back, Lebanon, it took into the modernity where it started like doing direct deposit. When you work, you don't get cash anymore, you get direct deposit and stuff. So you're a business owner, you pay your employee straight to the bank. Your employee goes to the bank to get his money to feed his family, to pay his bills or whatever. And the bank tells you, well, we don't have money to give you. But it's my paycheck. Yeah, but we don't have the funds. But then the director is buying a $50 million home. And the headlines were so sad because Jennifer Lawrence lost a couple millions on her home. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Boo freaking who?
Yeah.
Do they know who this dude is?
It's unreal, the corruption.
Billions of dollars the Lebanese people are begging the foreign banks, the ones who have the most privacy, I think, like Switzerland and France and those countries, please open your books on these officials. And everybody wants a piece of Lebanon, and everybody claims they love it so much, yet our president is a war criminal. He was a key player in the Civil War. He was exiled to France for 15 years with all the money and gold that was in I guess it's like the White House, but it's called like palace. The other dude went to jail because he's a war criminal as well. And now they both have dinners and lunches together, and they're buddies and they're best friends. And he got what he wanted. He sat in the house, and now he's the president, and he's done nothing. He's afraid to leave because he won't make it outside. But then you have the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, goes to Lebanon. He is walking in the middle of the streets being hugged and loved. That's a foreign president in a third world country. He's not even wearing a protective vest. He rolled his sleeves and went to the people. Women and mothers are begging him to help. The French mandate was over in 1946. The French colonized. Mm-hmm. They were there's the petition, please take over again. What country in this world, in history you heard of, is begging the colonizer to come back? We can't do this.
There might be another one called Hong Kong, but we won't even get into that.
Actually, what's going on there is so sad, especially with the concentration camps and the Muslims who are being kept there and being forced into literally slavery. But it's like I tell my husband when he puts the news now, it's like, I can't worry about the news here right now. One country at a time. I can't.
I know.
I need to worry. I worry about I'll give myself until November to buckle up and see what we do here. But for now, it really is ridiculous, and the heart hurts, and the Red Cross is overwhelmed. It is, I don't know what to tell you. It's really a story of generations. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was going to say, so with all this going on, obviously, there's got to be a way that people, even here in Foxborough, in this area, can help. So what can we do to help, and how can we get involved? Because I think that's very important.
The only thing we can do right now is help them financially, because we can't donate anything that is straight to the government. They take it, which happened millions and millions and millions of times before. Even the people who are on the street are telling Emmanuel, please don't help us through the government, because they'll take it. They're probably a new Mercedes coming out and they want to upgrade their cars, or there's a house in Aspen that they want to buy. Please don't help. So whenever someone at the beginning asked me, and I was like, just make sure you know where to donate. The Lebanese Red Cross is one of the most honorable organizations, and those people don't get paid. They have a paycheck. They do it from donations and from other organizations that are helping. They have not stopped working day in, day out. They're volunteers. They are taking breaks on the street. They're putting a little bit of jackets on their heads, and they're sleeping there and waking up and going back at it again. The thing is, like, the army, the police, no one did anything. It's the people who are pulling the people out. France sent a lot of firefighters. the United States, the Holland, oh my God, I'm forgetting so many. Kuwait, Qatar, England sent a huge ship. Everybody is sending volunteers, missionaries, and firefighters. Those are the people and the youth that are pulling people from under the rubble. There is that little. There's one baby who was still alive after 3 days.
Wow.
You know. But then when the people took to the street, suddenly, oh, the police showed up. Oh, hello. Hey, what's up, babe? You're awake? Where were you a week ago? The youth are the ones who took their brooms from their homes. My cousin is one of them. My other cousin, they were cleaning the streets. The young people were cleaning. They're going into people's homes and fixing. They don't even know whose home it is. And if they find an elderly person, they try to convince them to leave. They don't want to leave their home. They're like, I am not leaving my house. This little old lady, you see her, like young guys are literally holding her. Like, okay, we're done with you. You're going to come out. The building was going to collapse on her head. But she's been in this house for over 70 years. She doesn't want to leave it. You know? But this is the only way we can help is through the Red Cross. And there's another organization that I personally love so much and I always donate to. It's called Beit el Baraka. I'm going to send all these names for later if you want to show it on the screen. It's an organization, it's a nonprofit, non-government, you know, and a while ago, since the economic crash and the currency losing its value and all of that's been happening, even before the explosion, they were going into these people's homes where they have no money to buy food, and they were setting up little gardens with the help of a lot of celebrities. And actually, my cousin is the one who did the video with another, his name is Ali Fahad, and the other director he worked with is Nadine Labake, who was an Oscar nominee that last year. They did a video together promoting Beit el Baraka, and it literally gives people food, but not just here, take a meal. It sets up, if you are in the city, they turn your roof into a huge garden. If you have little balconies, they give you the essentials so you can eat. So they were doing amazing work. So when this happened, they started setting up little tables and booths where you can come up if something happened to your home, damage, or if you are in the area, and they take your name, your phone number. And now they actually, I just wrote it down here because I wanted to shed light on that. They actually starting to rebuild and help people through sections. So they are identifying the homes that are being destroyed, and they are starting to fix it through donations. So people, if they found it hard to navigate Lebanese websites, they got confused with the currency or something like that. So they will just, if they want, donate it through the page, the GoFundMe that I opened. And I'm going to give it a few days after this broadcast, and I will close it up, and I will personally send the money and divide it in half between the Lebanese Red Cross and El Baraka. And I will take screenshots, or if they send me an email, I'm not sure how it works, and I will post it to let the people who donated know that this is where the money is, and it's being used to actually help.
That's so awesome, Sadie.
Now
you're doing that.
It's the only thing I can help, but I wanted to, now we talked a lot about what happened in the past, but I really want to give this generation a lot of credit. They are the ones who are going to change everything. You know, it really is about generational differences, Mark. Think about it this way. The ones who were in the 60s and 70s gave us a beautiful country. They took care of it. They nurtured it. It was called the Switzerland of the Middle East. Some would say it was even prettier than Paris. The beaches, the beauty, the music, the country is absolutely stunning. Now, you go into the 70s, mid-70s, and 80s, and that generation, the ones who are my parents' age, are the ones who, because of supremacy and power and arrogance, they started this nonsense of a civil war. It's only because of a power struggle. You know, it's all just a bunch of militias. They call themselves political parties, but it was just extremely sectarian. We're not even talking about religion here. Even within one religion, you have sects. You know, the Muslim, the Shia doesn't get along with the Sunni, the Christian, the Catholic doesn't get along with the Orthodox. Now, how are they going to even get along with each other with a different religion? So it wasn't only religion, it was sectarianism as well. It was destructive. It was arrogant. They destroyed it. Now comes the next generation, which is mine. You know, the 90s teenage. We are only in aftermath of violence. We are bred into hate. We were violent. We were angry. We didn't know how to fix anything. We tried. But when you try to do something with anger, that doesn't really work, does it?
No.
It turns self-destructive. Now, most of us either are dead or left the country. You know? Now enter the next generation. The ones who are fresh, the one who doesn't remember the war, weren't even born in the war. Those are smarter than us. They're calmer, they're more aware. They are turning their back on everything that has to do with religion and sectarianism and supremacy and all of this. They just want to stay in Lebanon and be happy. You know? For the first time in the country's history since the war, you see the Muslims holding hands with the Christian and they're pulling people from under the rubbles. They called it the Mother's March a few months back before COVID, where all the moms went down with pots and pans as a symbol of homemaking. You see the one who's wearing the tank top, holding hand with the mother in the hijab, and they're saying, we are tired. They're pinning us against each other using religion. It is exhausting, and the jig is up. That new generation figured them out. They want them out. They want fresh. They want new people. They want someone who doesn't belong to a leader. You know? So all I can say is I hope they stay smart and they don't fall into their games like a lot of us did in the past. You know, we were born, we were bred to hate. It is their fault. No, it's their fault. But thankfully, I was raised by a very eccentric man who didn't allow this in his home. We would get punished, my brother and I. You know, if we say something, you don't get to judge people by their religion. And my father used to read us the Quran and the Bible and the Old Testament. He read us all three. And he taught us to question everything. You use your mind.
And that's the most important thing you said right there. Question everything.
Question everything.
And that's what we need the youth of today to do. And that's how we're going to get better.
In any country, Mark, mine, yours, ours, theirs, any country, it is dangerous to follow a single man blindly. He is nothing but a man. Or a woman, but most likely man, let's face it. They have the ego. They're the one that like to be in power, but it is very dangerous to believe someone blindly just because you said so. Yep. Just because I am a man of power and I say something does not mean. But a lot of people are weak-minded. They need someone to think for them and form their own opinions, I wasn't raised like that. So, I mean, questioning everything, did it come back to bite my dad? A few times as a teenager.
Yep.
But it is what it is. And I'm really hoping this new generation is smart they're exhausted, but even with their exhaustion, they are cleaning the streets. They are doing what they should be doing. You know, you see them. It gives me hope, and it gives, I don't know. I
No,
don't know what it gives me.
it does give hope. And I think that's the lesson to be learned, is that the youth are our hope. They're our future.
Yeah.
And we hope that they can see through all this, like you said, and, improve, wherever they are, in this case, Lebanon, but all over the world. And
Yeah.
that's all we can hope for, is that they do that. And
I believe they're much smarter than all of us. I believe they do better than we've ever done. I know that the fighter in me wants to do everything and wants to change. Before we leave, there's something that needs to be said, that it is a guilt of mine, actually, and now saying it out in public probably is healing for me. I'm not sure how to phrase it or frame it, but when I left, even though my heart was broken, I left and I wanted to leave because I saw no hope. I was just done. And I've said many times over the years, I hate it so much, the country itself. I hate it. I don't want to ever go back. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And one time my professor said to me, but I also say hate it and what I would do to change it. My fight. And one time my professor told me, for someone who keeps saying they hate something, yet they want to change it, it really isn't hate, is it? And it hit me like a slap across the face. It's like, oh, it isn't hate. It's sadness and disappointment that I was feeling, because it's like your child when he does something wrong. You want to discipline them. You want to change that behavior. You don't want them to grow up thinking that behavior is normal with no consequences. But do you hate them?
no, it's change.
No.
It's what you want to change the behavior. And I totally get it. And I'm hoping, and here's hoping, that everything does change over there.
Yeah.
Eventually. And, all we can do is, help them as best we can. And I'm glad that you came on today, Sadie, and I'm glad that you're doing this. And we're going to get the word out about the GoFundMe and the Red Cross, etc. But thank you for telling the story, and thank you for informing us about this, because it's very important. And I want to make sure everybody knows what's going on.
Thank you so much. You guys in this town always have my back, even through the media, through everything. And thank you to Judy, because this girl, she hustles, and the second, what can I do to help? It's the first thing that she heard it happen. The most thing that she knows how to do is networking and going about telling people and setting up this interview. And she just wrote an article in the paper. So I am very blessed to have you and this little Foxborough cable access family.
We're blessed to have you as well, Sadie. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you.
And that was Around Foxborough. Have yourself a great day.